All right, welcome in to Vision Pros Live. With Jackson Callum, I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there. Ultimately, I just want to go through some of the things that might help you with your vision. So if you have a vision that you're pursuing, drop a link in the comments and let us know what that is. If that's a business or a brand, if it's a nonprofit that you run, be happy to promote it, be happy to talk to you about it. And if you'd like to apply to be on Vision Pros and be interviewed about that vision, then by all means, feel free to reach out. All right, welcome into Vision Pros Live, everybody. I'm super excited to be here, talk to you about your visions and how you might move those forward, and also do some interviews with amazing guests. Today, we have an amazing guest in Susan Martinez, the founder of Entrepreneur Embodied. Susan and I have known each other for a couple of years now, and she is a unique type of coach with a unique type of experience that's more universal than most of the people that I talk to. Specifically, she helps with gender identity, relationships, intimacy, and ultimately helping people that need to find confidence within themselves. So if you struggle with confidence, or insecurities, if you're going through life challenges or marital problems or problems with your relationship, she's a fantastic asset to talk to. We're going to talk to her about her vision of why she does what she does, why she chose her niche, why she's called to fulfill this vision. And so without further ado, let's bring Susan on stage and get going with that. So Susan, I'm so glad to have you here today. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. I'm so grateful for being here, for you guys inviting me on. How are you?
Oh, doing awesome. Just blessed to have your presence here. So with that said, Susan, we have known each other for a couple of years. Go ahead. I'll let you do a little bit of the backstory on that. How do we meet? What happened with that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. It's going to be very refreshing to bring it up. We actually met when I decided to become a coach. Like I invested into a coaching. Recently got into a coaching certification. During the same time, we ended up crossing paths. I recall you were in a different company at the time, but I believe you were doing basically the same thing. And I remember sharing my vision with you. And telling you how I found it very important for myself as well as for everybody that I'm working with to understand who they are, to really know the I say the fundamentals of our essence. And so when it comes to gender, I think that's a real universal topic that there's not a lot of clarity going on in there. So I remember mentioning this, but it all started with telling you that I experienced mutual infidelity in my relationship with my husband in my marriage, and how I experienced a lot of shame, guilt, and self-hatred. And in healing and going through my own transformation, I realized that this is something that a lot of people struggle with, which is intimate emotions. These are all inner emotions that we experience, and we usually either brush under the rug or put a bottle cap on it. So I became very passionate in wanting to help others understand themselves, understand what's going on within them, because everything goes from the within and without. That makes sense. Yes. But yeah, I remember telling you that I wanted to I had a vision of creating a company where I'm able to really help bring coaches, healers, teachers together so that we can really be able to help other people reclaim the full nature of who they are, realizing like their identity, of knowing their essence with like on all planes of understanding. I'm going like this. There's 3 planes of understanding in my mind, and I really I connect to myself and really help others connect with themselves. And yeah,
passions and vision go together so well. And it's so important to recognize, right? So I'm going to unpack a little bit about what you said. And one of the keys when I'm looking for visionaries, and I want to interview people and I want to talk to people about their visions, the most key way to recognize a visionary is their eyes. Is when you ask somebody, what do they do? What do they stand for? Right? There's a fire that just comes out of the eyes. There's a sincerity that the face shows. People talk about the smile meeting somebody's eyes, right? I can smile like this, and like pretend everybody can tell I look like that emoji. That's fake smiling, right? But if I'm like legitimately happy, when I smile, my eyes are going to have a different type of shine to them. And so that's one of the physical cues. And so when I met you and I asked you what you do and what you're all about, like it was so clear. Like, whoa, okay, she's authentically bought into what it is she's doing. She means this from the bottom of her heart. And of course, that passion play. Right. It's not something that everybody's blessed with, and all visionaries have it either, but you don't speak almost with a ramble, right? With haste, when you don't have passion, right? That's somebody who really cares about what they do, trying to express and get across like the importance and value of this message. And I know that most people who go through marriage and go through any type of infidelity or insecurity related to their relationship don't typically talk about it. They don't want to put themselves out there publicly. They don't want to put their spouse out there publicly. You talk about mutual infidelity with confidence, in a way that I know the world needs to hear. And I'm grateful that you are the type of warrior who is willing to put that out there and create conversation around a subject that, while others may not say anything, I think so many people silently listen to you, and are so intrigued by the story, by the opportunity, that there are hundreds of millions of people, who could benefit from your message. And we've talked about that a little bit. So let's talk a little bit further about what's your vision of what are you bringing to the world? What do you hope the world achieves out of this? Feel free to passionately lay it all out there for us.
Wait, all right. I'll do my best here. When I think about what my vision is for entrepreneur embodied, um, I see that my whole vision is to see that the people that I work, the clients that I work with, the people that I interact with, collaborate with, that we all end up accomplishing three things that I feel like most entrepreneurs are going after, which is time freedom, financial freedom, travel freedom. So, and I honestly believe that every single human being should be in control of these areas in our lives. And so when I think about what I want for what we're creating in this company, I see people coming together and understanding themselves, understanding how to implement the law of gender, and understand how to implement sexual transmutation, so our own sexual essence, and learn how to heal ourselves. Because what I find in entrepreneurship is that we can attract that happiness and finances are on two different frequencies. And when it comes to being an entrepreneur, we have to to really have this balance within ourselves and within our whole life aspect. There needs to be, we need to be on all frequencies. They all need to be balanced out. So by implementing the law of gender and sexual transmutation, we go within ourselves, and this is what, like, that this is my whole sense of fulfillment of getting, like, this is what gives significance to what I'm working on and what we're creating here, because
That's
it's
awesome.
going inwards. Yes.
So
Oh,
with that, at some point soon. Oh, I'm sorry, the internet's cutting out a little bit. So if I ever interrupt you, it has to do with the internet, not the desire to steal the mic on that. We do have a testimonial that we want to make sure gets shared at some point in this. Somebody had some remarkable things to say about the transformation that they went through with you, and it also proves too that this is for so many different types of people, but you've honed in, as you mentioned, on the entrepreneurial audience. I think that's amazing because entrepreneurs are often on an island when it comes to their feelings and what they're going through. And if you go to, I know from this from experience, if you go to a standard counselor, or perhaps a church leader, right, somebody for counseling that's not an entrepreneur, you get boxed into general feedback. But as an entrepreneur, you don't have a general lifestyle. You have different types of goals. You have different types of missions and visions, and it requires a different level of sacrifice. As an individual, as a family, if you have a family. So there's a lot of unique challenges there that it can be very hard to find somebody who understands the value of you and what you do and the role that you have in society, et cetera. That can be very hard. So I find it interesting that you've honed in on entrepreneurs. Why entrepreneurs? What drew you to that
From personal
audience?
experience, a little backstory is I used to work in corporate, and then we went through a huge depression. That's when the whole infidelity came out, and we hit depression. And so, fortunately, I that's when I became a stay-at-home mom, and then right after that, right after I started my healing process, I got encouraged to start networking, and oh my gosh, I drew a blank. What was your question again?
You're good. You're good. So great backstory and backdrop on that. But why did you gravitate towards serving the entrepreneur audience?
Oh, because I became an entrepreneur myself. I was inspired to when I first joined network marketing, I joined a wellness company. And it was like, okay, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna eat healthy, and I'm gonna inspire others to do the same. Let's do this. And so that's how I started my entrepreneurial journey. That's what made me want to focus on entrepreneurs, because I think back, like, how many stay-at-home moms that are perfectly well off, being, depending on their husband, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. That's very beautiful. I did it for many years myself. But as a stay-at-home mom, I was missing purpose. I was missing fulfillment outside of my roles as a mother and as a wife. And so I focus on entrepreneurs because I honestly believe that there is an entrepreneur in every single one of us. Everybody within the whole existence of this planet, I honestly feel like there is some fire within us that that we want freedom. We want freedom within our own self beliefs, within, like I said, time freedom. To be able to spend, like, my goal was to be able to be present with my kids and want to be present, like, want to have that time to be like, okay, I'm in control of my time. I'm no longer exchanging my time for money, or leaving my kids and having to pay for daycare or sending them away. Like, I want my children. I want to be able to spend this time with them, want to be with them. And I think that's what a lot of parents, a lot of working individuals, that's like one of the biggest desires that they want, but I feel like they don't. They feel like it's something that's not even in their reach, because we've all grown up in this belief that we need to exchange our time for money, and we need to work. But even if we had the desire to spend time with our kids, we can't, because we have to financially provide for them. And so it's just this, it creates, just a system that creates so much imbalance within ourselves. So honestly, I honestly believe that everybody's an entrepreneur, like, regardless if you haven't found your purpose yet, or the desire or the belief that you can actually fulfill the desire of getting time freedom and financial freedom and travel freedom. I honestly believe, like, that it's within everyone.
I love it. I think it creates room for a brilliant and beautiful debate. And it's cool. It opens my mind because with Passion Pro, right, one of the programs that we've built, I specifically designed that program so that as people finish understanding their passions, they feel validated and not needing to turn it into a business. They feel sufficient and healthy in who they are and what they've chosen with their purpose, right? At the same time, there's your thought of everybody's got an entrepreneur within them. And that could technically clash with my viewpoint, right? If you wanted it to, you could choose that route. But I can see what you're talking about from it depends on how you define entrepreneur, right? And I'm glad you said it, because it challenges my own mindset that, well, wait a second. What I really want people to understand is I don't want people to feel forced to go that route. But you're talking about it existing within people. And that goes in a harmony with my concept that, well, wait a second. No, it's about giving people the right thing at the right time, right? And helping ensure that people are ready for it. So thank you. That definitely, it opens my paradigm and reminds me of the fact that entrepreneurship has existed since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
That jobs are fad. That's 200-year process of corporatism has been created. But here you go back to discovering this, right? You didn't have this since you were 3 years old. You didn't develop this in your teenage years while you're figuring things out. You went through, and so I imagine, I'm not 40, I'm not 50, I'm not 60, but I imagine that anywhere along the way, somebody might be able to find themselves with these same types of realizations. But what was interesting is your catalyst towards entrepreneurship sounds like it was multi-level marketing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that's another healthy debate in the making. I have very strong opinions about multi-level marketing, but my route was also multi-level marketing. So how did that open your eyes? You get the Beachbody, or I'm sorry, I said Beachbody, but is that what it was?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, there you go. You got the Beachbody experience. What did it open your eyes to? What things did you learn in that experience that allowed you to have this fire build within you?
Well, it was really when I transitioned from Beachbody to another multi-level marketing that completely shifted my focus to expanding and wanting to go into my mind and heal, reprogram myself. But before that, back to Beachbody. But during the time I was with Beachbody, that was when I really went inwards. I went to deep healing, and in that time, that's when I became aware of the masculine and feminine energies. I was really looking in, I think, a very universal book that everybody is well aware of, the Bible, to heal my relationship with my husband and really see, like, okay, I heard the terms masculine and feminine energy, and it's just like, if anybody knows about marriage, it's God. It's like, we're gonna go here, and so at that time I was looking for fulfillment and feeling more a sense of self, like I said, a sense of self outside of being a wife, outside of being a mother, but as well having that balance of, okay, I want to fix my relationship with my husband. So I came across um, masculine and feminine energy, and realizing that we have that energy within us, and we share that energy. And when you're with somebody, when you're in a unity, um, and so I really, like, that's when I was able to evaluate myself and see, like, oh, I'm very masculine dominant, um, and energetically, and I could see why things happened the way they happened, and why I feel a certain way towards my relationship. And only then was I able to be like, okay, no, I need to pull back and allow my husband to fill in that masculine space within our marriage. And it's not like he didn't want to. It was more like I was so masculine dominant that I was just taking up all the room. But it was really just taking that step back and realizing, like, it's not something that we do on purpose. I feel like most women are masculine dominant. Just because we grow up in you got to do, and that alone kind of self-sabotages us into feeling like that's masculine. Taking action is very masculine. So when when I started really practicing and becoming self-aware of my masculine and feminine traits, only, like I said, only then was I able to really start shifting and um, to opening up space to balance out the energies in my marriage and within myself, and going even further into myself. When I did go into the next level marketing, the next company that was multi-level marketing, um, that is when I came across a very incredible book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And there is a chapter in that book, chapter 11, that talks about The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. And it's very, it explains sexual energy in a masculine way, in a masculine perspective, which is given because the author is a male. But through my 2 years of experience of learning what masculine and feminine energy is within myself and within my marriage, when I came across this information of what sexual transmutational energy what is, it kind of just like opened my doors, like my perspective of like, wow, this energy, our sexual essence, how it works, how it drives us, is very, very powerful. um and and most people don't even know this information. So when I got this information in, I was like, everybody needs to know this. Everybody needs to know what sex is, and knowing that it's an emotion. It's more than gender. It's more than a physical act. It is a state of mind. It is an emotion. um and I'm going to stop here because I know it's like I already said so much.
You have exposed me. You have exposed me, Susan, in the best of ways. So, one of my hidden business truths is, and this is going to make some business people be like, I'm never working with him. I have never read Think and Grow Rich. I've never read it. And that's like a foundational book for business owners, right? It's one of those like Rich Dad Poor Dad that's kind of like a Bible of business, if you will. And I've started it several times, but always moved on to something else. And so it's funny because when you talked to me about the mystery of sex transmutation years ago, the first time, I had no idea what you were talking about. I had no concept of what that was. And now I'm like, oh man, like I'm missing a key component of one of the principal books that so many people build their fortunes and success around. And now I gotta go read it. I gotta go read that myself. So thank you for that. And let's dive into a little bit of the basics of honing masculine and feminine energy. All right. So what people, there's a lot of people out there that are still scared of this gender conversation, and conversations around gender. And people get so defensive and uptight about it. I want to be careful not to go too far down any of those rabbit holes, but I am going to own one truth, and that's that my energy oftentimes is feminine in nature. I'm a nurturer, and I like to be soft. I like to be delicate. That's what I gravitate towards. At the same time, I'm an alpha. I have a very and sometimes an inferiority complex can even come out, and I can leverage my masculine energy in a way that's not great for relationships, right? But learning to, and I love that you talked about how in your relationship, you owned yourself. You recognized your opportunity to step aside from that masculine energy, not put yourself away, right? But to gravitate more towards your identity of being flexible and being able to create space for your husband. And I can only imagine the good things that came out of that. And while no relationship's perfect, there are situations in which we take perfect action. And so perfect action is not the same as being perfect, but you have gravitated towards, I've gotten to talk to you a lot over the last 2 years, and I see a lot of perfect energy come out of what you do. And I want to honor that. I hope other people get the chance to talk to you about those concepts a little bit further. Also, one of the things I wanted to write and was thinking about was, you mentioned the Bible, and you mentioned learning masculine and feminine energy. And I don't necessarily want to go into a Bible study session, but are you saying that you learned about masculine and feminine energy via the Bible, or you learned about both at the same time?
Correct. I learned it at the same time. I heard the
Okay, I
terms, and
have a
it's just like,
follow-up
oh,
question really quick.
yes.
I want to get truth and clarity on the matter. And it's your answer's fine either way. The truth is what matters. Did you experience some value and feminine about were guided towards, but did you also find truths within the Bible that you felt helped you and your husband progress and find healing, or did it not come until you moved towards masculine and feminine energy?
It was when I started moving towards masculine and feminine energy. The Bible was like my baseline when it comes to marriages and the part of a man and a woman. It's like I automatically go to what did God send me here for? to become a mother, to become a wife. Like that's as far as I got with, and this is of course my own perspective of that's how far I got in with the Bible. But as soon as I was able to, well, as soon as I learned about masculine, feminine energy, the Bible started making a lot more sense.
That's interesting. Okay, so to be clear, and for all any Christians out there who are like terrified right now about this conversation, my goal is not to push one way or the other. It's to discover the truth within. And so what I hear you saying is that for you, the Bible is something that's important to your foundation, and through utilizing the other resources that have been created since then, those resources have unlocked further truth for you and helping you understand the foundation which you had based your beliefs upon and feel centered and grounded on. Is that correct?
Yes.
Cool. And I'm all for it. Like if it doesn't matter, honestly, if I have a guest on here who's atheist and they're certain about that, and like that's their big take, like I want to know that it's they're not defining truth for everybody. They're defining their truth. And how can we understand a visionary and what a visionary is up to, if we don't understand where their truth comes from? And so thank you for being willing to make space for that and own that. So with that said, we're digressing a little bit, back to multi-level marketing. So if you've been in multi-level marketing, people out there, and you've had these opportunities to become entrepreneurs at the starting levels, that can be, if you haven't done that, one of the benefits of multi-level marketing is the amount of training materials that they provide. Right. And the amount of mentors that you have access to. They're not perfect, just like my uncle and aunt who told their kids not to smoke, but smoke like 2 packs a day. Right. They were still doing their best to teach the kids, even though they had, my dad's an alcoholic. And he instilled in me the need not to drink. I never drank. And a lot of that had to do with seeing the bad example, but also the fact that he cared about me enough to help me understand that it wasn't the route to go. And so multi-level marketing is an interesting situation because a lot of people call it a pyramid scheme, right? And they look at it from the lens of, well, wait a second, there's one person at the top and these people at the top win and the rest don't. Well, guess what? Corporate America is built the same way. If you have a job, you are part of a pyramid scheme, so to speak. And it's that scheme word that draws the edge. And I know it can offend so many people. Or you can look at it and say, you know what? I'm part of a beautiful pyramid, right? Like you choose which word you want to associate with the object, the noun itself. But at the end of the day, almost all structure is built upon a leader, and the leadership itself should work the opposite direction, right? Where the leaders are carrying the most amount of weight and responsibility in order to, they're the mantle that they have a mantle on their shoulders, rather, everything that they're trying to carry. And if the leader is doing things the right way, then they're not putting all the people they serve into a situation of oppression, right? So multi-level marketing is a great place to get out of the corporate mindset, start to understand how entrepreneurs think, what they do, how they feel. And now you're not in multi-level marketing. You've shifted away from that. You've got your own brand and essence. And we, I can tell again from the years of going through that you've gravitated towards that. But what helped you unlock the vision that you had something more to give that was unique to something that you needed to create versus continuing to represent perhaps more of a franchise style program and process? What was the catalyst, if you remember, to making that shift? Was it the book in the chapter, or was it further than that?
It was no, it was when I read the book. It was when I read the book. It's happened occasionally, like multiple times, even before reading Think and Grow Rich. I heard the term that your deepest, darkest secrets are the most powerful ones. And that when they surface, the light that surfaces from the darkness is what's really, really powerful. And I remember crying, like bawling out, like, how am I going to tell the world that there was mutual infidelity, and how is my husband going to take it? Like I always knew that this was my purpose, but the shame, the feelings of guilt, all those feelings, that those intimate feelings that came up always stopped me. But it wasn't until like realizing, like, no, learning sexual energy, like after learning it, it's like, oh no, my story, everything happened because without it, I wouldn't be able to talk about it. I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk about, this is why I learned, or even had the interest of learning what sexual energy is. Um, and so realizing that yeah, that's when I realized, like, yeah, that, like you said, that's when I realized, like, I need to move forward with this. But I also, just to add in with the whole tying it back to the network marketing, I realized that I needed to create my own thing where this is the focal point, where our focal point is going inwards and healing, and healing our relationships and really going in, because all the other things that I've involved myself in, it's a product, it's something else. And so for me to put my voice in, or bring in my value, I find it a little bit more difficult going through somebody else versus taking the time to be like, you know what, this path hasn't been created. I'm a trailblazer and I'm going to make this trail. Like, there's a huge shift, but I'm so grateful that this is where I'm at.
I love it. And I've seen you, I've seen you blaze that trail. I remember the first time that we talked, I had a lot of apprehension, around our conversation, because the clarity was still coming for what your message was. And this was years ago. And when you told me what you did, I had just worked with a client who had a client that was a sex coach. And I was worried. I was like, man, I don't want to represent somebody that does that. I don't know how to do that. There's a lot of regulations and liability. I'm a little worried about mentioning the word on this podcast, that somehow some internet giant will shut down our little channel or something. But there wasn't a lot of clarity with what it was you did, from a perspective of somebody who didn't know a lot about the gender coaching, and the concepts that you were trying to help me understand. And so we got to practice working on refining your message for those who are a bit ignorant to what you do. And it was really cool. I got to see you, again, over the couple of years, we had different conversations, and it was awesome to see you gain further and further clarity, trust in your process, right? Not give up on your vision, but continue to push forward on it. And you're not unique in that regard. Ray Kroc and the McDonald's brothers doing the same thing. Steve Jobs, right? Building and building and building, and being told his machines suck over and over. Being fired, as the CEO of the company, and then coming back on his resurrection with the company. Every entrepreneur that I know of, Tesla included, they all go through that. They have to go through that process of learning and recovering. And you're also so young, that you've got such an amazing opportunity ahead for continuing to build this vision and inspire others with it, of course. Jaime, if you can, we'd love to pull up the testimonial video of Susan's client who just raved, about her experience of transformation that she was able to achieve with Susan. And of course, we'll pick up with.
No idea how much I appreciate you, dude. Like, when all this started, like, I was an emotional mess. I have so much joy that I'm starting to feel in my heart, and I'm starting to feel so much better going to the gym and seeing my progress. And it's like, I'm starting to boss up like my friend and just like walk with my shoulders up high, and the feeling is just, it's incredible. Like you can't explain. It's just like, I can't wait to be at the end. The feeling is just amazing, girl. And it's like, I honestly, you say that I did it, but I would have never got this far without you. I would have never got this far without you being able to explain to me everything that's going on. Or you're awesome at what you do. You really are. And honestly, I can never thank you enough for everything that you've done. You're definitely one of a kind, Mom, and I appreciate you so much and love you so much. You have no idea.
Awesome. I love hearing that testimonial, because it's just so obvious how much you mean to her from having coached her through whatever it was that she was going through. And the fact that she was willing to give you a testimonial publicly, based on the experience that she's had with you, it's just awesome. So one of the things that Susan is being a little bashful about sharing regarding the vision that I'm excited to share about it is Susan has, and Emmanuel is correct. You are awesome and amazing. And the reality is you want to turn this company into one that reaches millions, hundreds of millions, possibly billions of people. And you've talked about the reality that you see this becoming a $1 billion entity, the organization itself, because we know that finances are ultimately the vehicle that drives our ability to produce results for those that we serve. And so I've seen you study up and really gravitate towards anything out there that can kind of help bridge gaps and move things forward. To the visionaries who are at your stage of growth right now, what are some of the hiccups that they should be prepared for? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the opportunities too? And what are you most excited to look forward to? Again, feel free to bridge whichever of those gaps you feel is most pertinent to the people listening right now.
I think one of the gaps that should be that I jumped through, and that I think that everybody would it serve us, is from going to from student to teacher, from like we've talked about, from being the pretender to the contender, from really I shifted when I said the pretenders and the contenders. I think there's a part in that we all go through where we feel like we're still in learning mode, like we don't know enough so that we can start really spreading our wings per se. And so I honestly going in and seeing the value of what we have to offer, and seeing like that what we have, the purpose, the things that we want, they're already more than enough. It's just us realizing that we already have everything that we need to move forward. And one of the things that was a block for me when it came to moving forward and wanting to create a company was all the technical back stuff and all the online stuff that has to do with running a successful business online. So before First Class Business came into my vortex and into my space, I was really, like we've spoken about, I manifested a company that has all the components in order and in place to be able to take my company forward, to help me create this vision and help me move it forward and have everything, all the technical stuff get taken care of. Like we worked like that. That was a huge thing for me. And I think that's a huge thing for most people, is realizing that there's so many things that need to be put in order when you're running a company online, that stops us. It's like, oh, there's just too much. I don't know how to do it, so I'm just not going to do it.
Are you saying it's not easy? And are you revealing the real truth that it's not easy? Come on, you got to put the hard work in. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you cut off. But
oh, if it cut out, I'm sorry. It's not easy. It's hard work. That's exactly what it is. And you've learned that, you've seen that, you own that. And it's just, there's so many people who are putting out oversimplified, easy programs that people buy into and never get the results, and alluding to the fact that just does not work. It's going to spin people in circles all day long.
Yes. And it's so easy to get caught up into it. And that word right there, easy, realizing that it isn't easy to be able to do everything. They're simple. You've created a system, First Class Business. You have created a beautiful system that it's simple. It's not easy. It's simple. And that's what I absolutely love about it. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to focus on this. We're going to focus on this. And we're initially like that, we're going to get to the end goal. But when it, like, alone, when you're, like we said, a solo entrepreneur, you're realizing that, okay, I'm gonna create a business and I'm gonna move forward, and I have no idea how to move forward with it. All those steps definitely can be overwhelming. And so I think, yeah, it's like, it's a blessing. Like, first class business, it is truly a blessing, because through working together, through this company, through working together, we are creating that $1 billion vision, and being able to really reach out to millions of people. Like, I would not be doing this alone for one bit. I would not reach. There's no way that I would be able to reach millions of people alone, working systems and doing this and being a mother and being a wife, and like, no way. So it's been such an incredible experience that we're currently going through, that we're going to be going through for the rest of our lives, because we're making billions here.
I love it. Thank you for honoring us. You don't have to do that, and the fact that you do means a lot to us. For those of you who are considering, your own brands and what you do, one of the things that we delicately went through with Susan was trying to figure out, is she going to be a Tony Robbins style brand, where when we first started working together, she was Susan Martinez, and that was her entire brand, and everything was built around that. And we talked about the reality of bottleneck that often occurs when a business owner stays the feature and the product and the solution. And Tony is one of the few people who has escaped that and managed to build certifications and programs around his name being the brand. On the flip side, we had to look at, well, if you were to brand something, what would it be? And we went through a process of looking at different names and different opportunities, and Entrepreneur Embodied, ended up being the outcome of that. And so this is just one quick resource that has come together as we've continued to work on Susan's messaging to the world. And we've got dozens of YouTube and social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook templates for her to utilize. Well, we put together the video, of course, for the testimonial that you just saw. And we work with the assets that she has in order to make it clear the size of the lighthouse that she is, and the where the shorelines are. We're trying to help people find it and find her, and make sure that she has a foundation in place to serve those individuals really well. And so it's been our honor to be part of the process, Susan. And we couldn't do it if you weren't the powerful visionary that you are. We're only along for the ride. Like, we're here to help ask questions and to make sure that you have the support that you need. But at the end of the day, you are the visionary who helps us see where it is you want to take this and how it is you want to grow it. And you have every right to adjust that vision. Wake up one morning and say, you know what? I want to go this direction, and I need to go this direction. And seriously, thanks be to God that you honor him with that decision-making process. That you find those answers, and that you're willing to communicate, discuss that with us as your team. And so whether we're the team or you're a visionary and you're going for another team, my greatest invitation to you to wrap this episode up is make sure to share your full vision with your team. Make sure that you go to extreme lengths to help them understand the culture that they should be establishing, to help them understand where it is you're guiding them towards, how it is that they belong and fit into it. Too many entrepreneurs are trying to hire out there without asking any of that. They just want yes men. They just want yes men or women who will say, yeah, I can do that. I'll post that for you. I'll take care of this for you. But they have no idea what it is you're actually trying to put out in the world. And we often wonder, why do 96% of businesses fail within 10 years? Well, it's not the government's fault. It's not the provider's fault. It is we, as the entrepreneurs, as the visionaries. If we are failing, it is our fault, and we got to learn to own that. And Susan, you own it beautifully, and because of that, you have extreme clarity come to you every single week as you guide us on your victory march. So, with that said, if you want to contact Susan, she's a beautiful, wonderful person. You can reach her on Facebook. You can reach her on LinkedIn. She's not an untouchable out there, and reach out to her and ask her, how can you get help with your masculine or feminine energy, or your relationship, or whatever you may be going through that could be causing insecurities, anxiety, or stress, and just see how it is that she can help you. She does have some really cool lead magnets, like a gratitude journal as well. And learning to express gratitude, yes, it's easy to say thank you. What it's often not easy to do is know what to say thank you for, or how to dive into the depth of that. And it's amazing how many people don't know the amount of happiness that can unlock and the amount of peace. And she's just great at being able to guide people on elements like that. So feel free to go back, watch the testimonial video. In fact, we'll end this on that testimonial video one more time in case you didn't see it. And Susan, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was such an honor to be here. I appreciate you too.
Absolutely. Jaime, do you got
no idea how much I appreciate you, dude. Like, when all this started, like, I was an emotional mess. I have so much joy that I'm starting to feel in my heart, and I'm starting to feel so much better going to the gym and seeing my progress. And it's like I'm starting to boss up like my friend and just like walk with my shoulders up high, and the feeling is just, it's incredible. Like you can't explain. It's just like I can't wait to be at the end. The feeling is just amazing, girl. And it's like, I honestly, you say that I did it, but I would have never got this far without you. I would have never got this far without you being able to explain to me everything that's going on. Or you're awesome at what you do. You really are. And honestly, I can never thank you enough for everything that you've done. You're definitely one of a kind, Mom, and I appreciate you so much and love you so much. You have no idea.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. We optimize them as the months go by. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. And have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.